Started. We are live here on Facebook. I am Ryan Mann from Thrive Realty Group, powered by Today Real Estate. And I have my guest here this week, Marcia and Mark Wilson. How are you guys?
Doing great.
We're feeling tip-top.
Excellent, excellent. So, I have tried to be doing this every day, every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. So if you guys are out there in Facebook land and you want a predictable, entertaining minute, last week we had a insurance adjuster, Kevin Jordan, was riveting. It was amazingly entertaining few minutes of inner workings of the insurance adjusting world. This is going to be a real hoot because we're going to have a little bit about bringing and attracting wildlife to your yard. And if you have any questions while we're doing this live stream, feel free to post them in the comments. And we'll also be posting links afterwards to Mark's website and his great new book that my son has been really enjoying on owling, which is really, really incredible. It's very, very well done. And really, congratulations to you, Mark. There it is.
Ryan, can you see that, or is it backwards?
I can see it. It looks great. It looks wonderful. So before we get to the main event, which is the book, and Mark and his new book, and Marcia by his side, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about where the market is right now. I actually closed on a home today. We had 27 offers on this house. 27 offers. The house finally closed at $70,000 over the list price. And believe it or not, it appraised for it as well. It actually appraised for the price that we went for as well. And that is an indicator, in my opinion, of a market that is just so hot that the appraisers are actually keeping up with the market. Over the last 12 months, there's estimates of the Cape Cod market appreciating by over 30%. So if you are one of those folks that are looking to sell or could be looking to sell, this is the time to sell. Don't wait a year because you might be getting less money for it. Let me be able to give you an assessment, and I can do that really easily. But if you are a buyer, what that means is that the reason why these prices are increased as high as they have, 30% appreciation in 1 year, the reason why that is because there's a lot of you and not a lot to look at. And because of that, you need to be ready to go. So these are the 5 things that I believe you need to think about when you are getting ready to buy a home. The first is make sure that you have a loan mortgage pre-approval ready to go. And if you are going to be paying cash, because I know some of those folks up near Boston have been able to sell their property up there for a boatload of money and come wheeling down with their wheelbarrow full of cash down to the Cape and snatch these things up. But the reality is that if you are one of those people that are going to be paying cash, you better have your cash all in one place and in a way that a buyer can see that you actually prove to them that you actually have that cash. Because just saying, yeah, I'm going to pay cash, well, that means nothing, especially when you have as many offers on the table as most of these sellers are getting. So make sure you have that pre-approval. That's the first thing. Second thing, organize what you want. If you say, I would like a house on the Cape, I'm not going to be able to help you. Why? Because are you going to want a house on the Upper Cape or the Lower Cape? Or do you want something within 300 feet of the beach? Or do you care if it's a Cape or a ranch? So figuring out exactly what you want will help to narrow down your search and be able to focus on when those houses become available as quickly as possible. So that's really, really important. Organizing what you want. Doesn't mean those things can't change, but at least having a plan going into it, what you want, and that'll help your realtor, which brings me to the next point. Trust your agent. I know lots of agents for lots of times have been untrustworthy. No, I didn't say that. I'm not. But, you know, there really is something to say about this. We are professionals. We need to be your trusted professional. And so when your agent is telling you you really need to get down here for this, and you say, "Oh, okay, I'll come down 2 Saturdays from tomorrow," the house is gone. Okay, you need to listen to your agent, because your agent is your trusted professional with the boots on the ground. So really, really important. That brings us to the other point, which is you have to act fast. Something comes on the market. In this market, we're seeing things go under contract in days, and sometimes in hours. So it's really, really important. If you are one of those people that is, maybe up at Boston, or you're from Florida, or wherever you're coming from, and you can't get down here in, like, I don't know, 10 minutes, you better be ready to take a plane, or trust your realtor through a walkthrough video and do a virtual offer, because it won't be here. It just won't be here. No seller wants to wait for somebody that might be interested in buying it when they have somebody who's ready to pay for it today. So find a way to get down there swiftly and quickly. And then finally, this is the real thing. Hold on tight, because it is a roller coaster right now. 50% of deals right now that go under contract fall apart. Okay, whether it's because of home inspections, or people make decisions too quickly, whatever it is, it's really, really important for people to remember that this is a marathon, not a sprint. So with that being said, now that the real estate stuff is all out of the way, I can get back to my first love, which is wildlife and a sense of place. So Marcia and Mark have been friends of mine for over a decade. Can you imagine that, guys?
Well, I didn't know you were that old.
I know. Well, thank you. Yeah, so we met in 2008. Marcia and Mark have been wildlife extraordinaires for a very, very long time. Like before Jesus, there was Marcia and Mark Wilson. They are amazing at what they do. When we're not in COVID times, they run a wonderful family program called Eyes on Owls. You might have seen them at the Cranberry Festival down here, or at several places around Cape Cod and the South Coast, and all over the place, all over the state, all over New England, really, showing off their incredible feathered friends. And I will let you guys kind of take it over from there if you want, real quick, just talking about who you are, what you're doing, and especially owling and what it is. Why is it so cool?
Well, thank you, Ryan. And the Cape is really a special place, not only for real estate, but for wildlife. And a lot of people that are going to move there might be pleasantly surprised by how much bird life they'll see in their neighborhood, or if they treat it right, in their yard. Now, obviously, we're more inclined to be talking about owls this evening. We have 14 owls that we care for. They're all non-releasable. They've all been injured or captive hatched, so they're non-releasable. And we're going to introduce you to 2 screech owls, which are a very common owl on Cape Cod. In fact, it's the best place in Massachusetts to see a screech owl, and particularly to get one to maybe nest in your yard or roost. But you had 5 points for buying a house. I could come up with 5 points for attracting screech owls to the yard. Okay, number 1, if your property abuts conservation land or undeveloped land, that's a good thing, because screech owls, although they do live in suburban environments, they do like a little bit of underbrush, and they like other animals besides cats and dogs. So, oh, Marcia just brought out, maybe you can hold them closer to the camera. What? Okay.
Look at you guys.
Well, I'm going to talk for the other 4 points here. So try to buy a property near protected land. The second thing is go easy on the lawn. Don't hit it with a lot of insecticides or herbicides. I mean, I'm not going to hold you at fault if there's dandelions in your yard, because that attracts bees, which are pollinators. And you want to attract insects to your yard because that's what owls eat, among other things. So go easy on the insecticides, herbicides. You might want to plant a pollinator garden to attract insects and other hummingbirds, perhaps. And then inside the house, if you get a mouse in the house, and sooner or later we all do, don't use mouse poison. Don't use rodenticide. Use a mouse trap, one of these. You've all seen them, 50 cents. You bait it with peanut butter, bam, kills the mouse immediately. It doesn't suffer like it would in a glue trap, or if you use rodenticide, which is a long, cruel death for the mouse. So use a mouse trap, get it out of your house, but screech owls will eat mice. That's one of their favorite foods. So having mice in the yard is okay, not in the house. And then number 5, you want to put up some shelter for the owls. And I'm going to show you what that will look like here quickly, and then we'll talk about the owls themselves. This is a screech owl birdhouse that you can buy all made for about 50 bucks. Although on the Cape, I know there's a tight market for screech owl boxes right now, and it's hard to find one for less than 100 thou. But if you go to any of the birdwatcher shops, you can get them for 50 bucks. Or you can build one out of scrap lumber for about 10 bucks. It's a 4-inch hole. It doesn't have to go high in the tree, only 10 or 12 feet. And you want to face it to the south. You don't want it facing into the north or northeast where the winter cold winds and storms come out of. So face it to the south. And when this hole disappears, you know you have a tenant. You've got a bird in the hole roosting. Or if you're lucky, you might have one nesting. Now you're probably saying, well, when should I put up the box? Anytime. Put it up anytime, because it will weather. The birds will discover it, and they may start using it for roost this time of year. And then in the spring, they may nest in it. So birdhouse, I cannot overestimate how important it is to put up shelter for your screech owls. Because on the Cape, there's still not a lot of big old trees with lots of cavities in some neighborhoods. And basically, you're putting up a fake cavity. So these little screech owls, Marsh, you can move them in closer to the camera. They come in 2 colors. This one's obviously the red morph right here. And then this other one is the gray morph. And you can see both of them on the Cape. I believe that gray is slightly more common on the Cape than red, although I don't know of any scientific studies that have proven that. But that's just based on a gut feeling and personal observation. But these screech owls are full grown. And yeah, get her to look up. That's easier said than done. It's my finger that's at stake here, right? So screech owls, even though they're small, they're quite the little predator. They eat a lot of insects like moths and other nocturnal insects, and they eat a lot of rodents like voles and mice and maybe even a small rat. But they would take frogs. They will take earthworms. And you want to build that biodiversity into your yard. So if you have a perfect green lawn, you don't have much biodiversity in that perfect green lawn. So put in a pollinator's garden, let some other stuff grow. And, if you have dandelions or chickweed or purslane in your lawn, doesn't bother me. Wildlife will eat it. Rabbits will eat it. Rabbits would attract great horned owls or barred owls. If you have snakes and frogs, barred owls and great horned owls might eat them. And so one other thing, if you want to know if you have a screech owl in the neighborhood, you might want to learn the call. And they don't hoot. Even though they look like they have, ear tufts like a hoot owl, so to speak, they don't hoot. They trill and they whinny. Now, I can't trill. I wasn't born with that ability, and I don't think Ryan was either. And I don't think
definitely
can trill. We're 3 non-trillers, but you can whinny. And how does that go, Marcia? So if you hear that little whinny outside your window, you have a screech owl in the yard. That's a good sign. That means you should get your box up as soon as possible. Now, Ryan, have you had screech owls in your neighborhood?
We have, and we've heard them whinny and we've heard them trill. And we have 2 nest boxes in our yard that I put up a few years ago. And, it's important to remember about housing stock. You have to maintain them, don't you? You can't just leave them filled up, because something will go in there and it may not be.
Squirrels, unfortunately, will take them
Yep.
over, and they'll stuff them full of leaves, and you'll have to go in and clean them out. And when you're cleaning them out once a year, you want to watch out for wasps, or spiders that might be in there, or yellow jackets, things that could bite or sting you. So wear gloves when you clean out the box. And you don't need to clean it out more than once a year, though. And you might want to put some pine shavings in the bottom of it as a nesting base. Don't put grass in. Don't put hay. Don't put cedar shavings, but pine shavings will do the trick. And face the box towards your back window so you can watch it and observe it from the house. And that way you can easily monitor the box.
That's a great idea. Right outside the window would be fine too, right? They're not.
You don't want it right next to the house.
No, like
you want to
like on a tree outside the window, like 20 feet away. Would that be okay?
20, 30, 40 feet out. Yep.
Yeah, that's
That'd
great.
be perfect.
Polly has a question for you, Mark.
What's that?
Polly has a question for you. She asks, do they like ponds?
Well, they'll live on the edge of ponds and wetlands, but you're not going to see them hunting really over the pond. They may fly over the pond to get to some other woods, but the edges of ponds and wetlands are excellent habitat for screech owls.
Excellent.
Yeah, so if you live on a pond, I would definitely put up a box. And if you have a marsh near you, definitely put up a box. But screech owls don't swim around like a duck, so you're not going to see them paddling around in your pond. And they'll catch mice and voles and maybe frogs and even snakes, small snakes. And actually, there's some records of them catching small fish. So
that's so cool.
Yeah, the pond may attract them.
Yeah. So, Polly, they don't go in ponds that are in your house, just for the record. So make sure you keep the sump pump going.
Does she have a pond in the house?
Inside joke. Okay. We'll keep moving. If any of you folks that are looking or on this, we're going to be talking for a few more minutes here. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comment section, and we will be sure after this, when it actually gets published, we will put the links to Martian Mark's website and how you can get this amazing book that we're going to talk about in a moment. So do we want to move on to that, or do you have other things that you want to talk about? Okay, because we need a obscene profit update here. This book, by the way, I have to say, I did a before Christmas check-in with Martian Mark, and I didn't know that Mark had really put this together or had gotten it out the door. But for those of you who don't know, Mark is an incredibly gifted photographer and has done a tremendous amount of wildlife photography for decades. Some of his stuff is just, how did you get that? Is the question. How?
I ask myself that every day. I take luck over skill anytime.
You have some stories about being on the tundra for weeks at a time, freezing, looking like an owl up on a pole, in the Andes or wherever you were. I mean, it's incredible what you've done to get some of the shots that you've gotten.
Well, this book that you see up, you can see it off to my left. It covers all 19 species of owls that nest in North America, north of Mexico. And when I signed a contract with the publisher to do the book, it was like, uh-oh, I don't have pictures of 5 species that are found out west. So I had a deadline to meet, and I had to hustle over to Arizona, in the Sierras in California, in Utah, and photograph flammulated owl, ferruginous pygmy owl, burrowing owl, western screech owl, spotted owl for the book. And we connected with all those owls, luckily, and we met our contract, but the book covers all 19 species. Here in the East, in Massachusetts specifically, there's records for 12 species of owls that have occurred. And on the Cape, this winter, you want to look for snowy owl, short-eared owl, along with the resident owls like great horned owl, barred owl, and screech owl. And those are the 5 that you're most likely to see. If you're really lucky, you might find a cute saw-whet owl, but they're really hard to find. Yeah, as you know, Ryan, right?
Yeah, I did some
specific.
mist netting for them in the western part of the state, and I have rarely seen a saw-whet owl. I think I've seen one once, and it was in Plymouth, so that doesn't really count even for the Cape. They're incredibly. They're small, but I haven't heard them, you know, and so
Well,
that's really
on the Cape. They're a migratory species, the saw-whet owl.
right.
And it's a tooting call. It sounds like. And if you imitate that call, you can often get them to fly in. If you hear them saying you're back 40.
That only works if you haven't done the great horned owl call
first
for 20 minutes before that.
Right.
Yeah. I always
like
forget that part, you know.
the dinner bell for the great horned owl.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
if people want to get the book, I think we're going to put our website link on there or in our email. And if you buy the book from me, I can personalize it and sign it and ship it to you. If you buy it from Amazon, unfortunately, I don't really get but a few pennies for that sale. If you buy it directly from me, you help feed the owls. It goes to the Mouse Fund. And it benefits the owls a lot more if you buy it directly from the author, me. And I do have a second book coming out in the spring, and it's going to follow a snowy owl researcher around the Arctic for 5 weeks. And it's called The Snowy Owl Scientist. And it's going to be published by Hoot and Mifflin Harcourt. And it should be out, I think, by May, although they haven't given me a hard date yet, but I think it's probably April or May when it's coming out. So look for that. And the owling book, just in case you have the power go out, the cover is glow in the dark.
Excellent. Well, that's a very important feature.
$18.95 plus shipping, plus sales tax.
Now,
so
if people were thinking about this either for their kids, like I did for Rowan, or for their grandkids, what age do you think this is really appropriate for this book?
Marketed to middle grade, so grade 4 to 6. But I've had so many notes from adults that love the book. And if you don't have a middle grader in your family, say you have a first grader, there's over 200 photos and illustrations in this book. And the child can look at it and not even have to read, and they'll get the idea of what makes owls tick. So it's good for all ages, kids from 3 to 103.
If that's not a marketing tune, I don't know what is. Well, Mark, I really appreciate you meeting with us today, telling us a little bit about the housing market for owls on Cape Cod. And
how many have you closed on, Ryan?
I have closed on at least 2 in my
Was
yard.
it a bidding war?
Yeah. It was really, really tight competition for sure, but we beat them out for sure.
Good.
We're gonna work on evicting some of the squirrels and some of the other ones.
We won't name the other rodents that are in there. Sometimes you get flying.
Absolutely.
Squirrels.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That'll move in. Which is okay by me, because barred owls love to eat flying squirrels.
It's like going to the buffet, right?
Right. The Cape Cod buffet, all you can eat.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, Mark, for hopping on today, and good luck with the book. And as I had said, we will put the link to get the book as well as their website in the below this video once it goes live and it gets published. So on Facebook. Thanks again, Mark. Thank you, Marcia, off camera, and thank you to owls who were here for us for a few minutes. Thank you so much.
Go out and hoot now, Ryan.
I'm ready to go, and for those of you who hopefully we'll see you next week, Wednesday, same time, 7 o'clock. I'm Ryan Mann, Thrive Realty Group, powered by Today Real Estate, and have a great week. Go have a hoot.